Okay, this is take 4. If I talk absolute gobbledygook, that's what you're getting, because this is take 4. And one of them wasn't me taking a picture of myself. So, a few days ago, I said that we were going to talk about the ticking clock and option exclusion as ways that you could put pressure on your novel, put pressure on your protagonist to make sure that you're always moving forward at the kind of pace that you want to have readers turning the pages, unable to put things down. You can have both a ticking clock, which we discussed before, and option exclusion, or you can have one or the other. We already talked about ticking clock. Option exclusion. So it's exactly what it sounds like. Your novel opens up and your protagonist has got a bunch of choices that they can make. We know in Team Cockroach's story that we've got mutant cicadas that are chewing up all of the crops. There are going to be food chain collapses. There are going to be all kinds of problems that are precipitated from this domino effect of collapses. And we have to stop the cicadas. If we do not stop the cicadas, then we are the dinosaurs of this story. We will be eliminated. We will literally be eaten out of house and home. So we've got to solve that problem. The stakes are really high. Our alpha protagonist, we've decided to write the kind of stories where there is a through line between the series. So these are not multi-entry stories. You can't come into the series anywhere to start book 1 and end on book 6. And the alpha protagonist is the protagonist who drives the majority of the story and who is going to be the one who solves the problem at the end. Because we're writing a certain kind of post-apoc, we do not write the kind of post-apocalyptic. I'm not starting again. I'm just not. Which fine. You understand what I meant. I'm possibly this thing. We write the kind of stories that are about hope. They're about resilience. They're about the human spirit. And in the end, they're about overcoming all the odds. Even if millions of people die, at the end of it, our alpha protagonist is going to solve the problem. Still not starting again. Still not starting again. So option exclusion. We start out and they've got 10 choices. Are they going to go to the CDC? Are they going to go to NOAA? Are they going to work out something about the wind that is taking the cicadas? Are they going to work out about gyres in the middle of the Pacific? Are they going to work out about currents? Who are they going to go to when they have this information that they need that's going to drive the story towards solving this problem with super high stakes? What you need for your protagonist is for their flaw or misbelief to be in the way of them taking these steps or making these decisions. And we've been working really hard to make sure that those things go together. So we've got this kind of mismatched, not weak and wimpy, but not matched up to superhuman levels of I'm good at making decisions and I know which way we're going to go. We want somebody who is finding their way through these things and overcoming their internal misbelief or flaw. In option exclusion, you give them a bunch of options and they make a decision, and then that decision is wrong. So then they have to make another decision, and that decision is based around their flaw, and they make another decision and it's wrong. And they make another decision and things are going really, really great and things look like they're going to work out, and then it collapses and it's wrong. You keep making it more and more difficult for your character until they've only got one choice left. It's the do or die moment. They have to make this decision, and this decision is the hardest decision that they personally could possibly make. But it's the only decision that they could make, and so they have to overcome their own flaw in order to take this step that will either save or not save the future of the human race. So you can see how high the stakes are. You can see that everything, all the decisions they make are driven by their internal misbelief, and they keep making mistakes until they're all in and they have to go for it. So then the other thing that I wanted to talk about, let's look at time. Yes, because we ran out of time last time because I was gabbling. So when you are looking at how your character might make decisions, and the kind of decision matrix that is in front of them, they are going to be involved in some kind of reasoning, right? So the four types of reasoning that we have are deductive, inductive, critical, and intuitive. And the hardest one to write, obviously, is intuitive, because they are the kind of people who make leaps that don't necessarily make sense. And I love those kind of books, but for our readership, for the post-apoc readership, that's not a great way to go, because they need to be able to connect the dots as they're going through these decision matrices. They need to be able to connect the dots, and what they hope is to be a little bit cleverer than you, and for you to then pull the rug out from under their feet. So you're going to be layering in different bits of information that we can tug at, and bits that we can follow in the reasoning matrix. Deductive is top-down, so you start out with a theory, you go to a hypothesis, and then you look for the observable stuff that actually supports that hypothesis. So that's top down. So inductive is bottom up. Sherlock Holmes is a bottom up inductive reasoning. So you start with the little piece of data that you've got. You get these pieces of data and you put them together and you create a hypothesis, and then you get to the theories, but you start down here. And most of our readers prefer you to do that. So when you're looking at how your characters make these decisions and how they go through option exhaustion, think about what kind of clues you're layering in. Almost every novel that you ever write is some kind of whodunit, and the really, really great ones are the whydunits. But you are always looking at uncovering, how did this come to be, and what other piece of information have we got that makes us open this door instead of that door. Like I said, this is the fourth time, fifth time. I don't know how many times I've done this. I've gotten off course so many times. I only ended up doing this because I got on a call today, a Skype call with some writers, and somebody said, "Oh yeah, I saw your YouTube channel." I'm like, oh, complete deer in headlights moment, and I kind of backed myself into a misbelief corner that was to do with like, oh God, I can't teach anybody anything. And then tonight I thought, just talk about something to get yourself back out there, because if you shut down, you're going to piss yourself off, and then you'll just be shut down for no good reason at all. I'm going to end on a story about how your characters aren't always logical, and how you might understand, both in your life and in your stories, where this kind of illogic comes from. So it's not connected to the Team Cockroach story, and it is not connected to Sherlock Holmes and inductive and deductive reasoning. It is related to misbelief, which of course is my absolute favourite thing to talk about, and everybody else hates it. So my mother was raised in an incredibly strict Catholic household, and sex was absolutely forbidden. And we grew up with stories about, how important your virginity was, which was very, very conflicting. She said, smiling, because of course I have the wrong response to this. Because of the patterns of abuse in our family, the need for purity and the inability to be pure meant that you were entirely conflicted. So if you're assaulted sexually as a child, but you're also told that you're supposed to be pure, then you're going to have a certain amount of rage around not being able to make those things fit together, right? And so we were raised in this, purity culture. And at a certain point, my mother found condoms in my brother's room. Now, I would think, if I was a parent, and I'm a pseudo parent, I'm not a real parent, so I don't know, maybe if I had children of my own, it would have been quite different. I would think that was really, really fantastic. And I would sit down and talk to them about, at that point, it wouldn't have been about safe sex because we didn't know about safe sex at that point. But I would have sat down and talked to them about STDs, STIs now, and pregnancy. But that's not what she did because she had so much rage. And what she did instead, when she found these condoms in my brother's room, just take a guess. I'm just going to pause for 4 seconds while you take a guess as to what my mother did when she found condoms in my brother's room. Dum-dee-dum-dee-dum-dee-dum. Yes, of course, this is what she did. She went and she found his record collection, which was the thing that he loved most in the world, and which he had built up, and which was a beautiful record collection. And she took all of his records down to the kitchen, and she got a steak knife, and she went through his entire record collection and ruined all of his vinyl because he had condoms in his room. So, that is, it does relate to option exclusion because she, in that moment, did not believe that she had any choice. This deep, deep clash of purity culture meeting her own abuse history and being reenacted through her children, which is a different story, but then to find out that one of her children was sexually active, she had no other choice than to destroy the thing that he loved the best. And that's not inductive reasoning, and that's not deductive reasoning. That's all to do about misbelief. You can write a character that complex. I am going to be very, very happy with you. I'm going to be happy with you anyway because you're doing awesome work. So I hope you can see how that all threads together. I hope you're as horrified as I am still 30 years later. But anyway, we went to 12 minutes. Bye-bye, doom scribblers.